Well, there's nothing cuter than a sleeping dog, particularly if he's part Jack Russell. So here he is cuddling with his little teddy bear. And I don't know about you guys, but probably a lot of you are cat and dog lovers. And there's something beautiful about a sleeping animal, a sleeping child. And even for us as adults, there's something incredibly beautiful about sleep. So tonight we're actually going to look at 6 benefits that sleep has for us. Some of them you may be familiar with, and other ones were actually brand new to me. So I enjoyed preparing for this study because about 1/3 of our life is actually spent sleeping. They recommend about 7 to 9 hours a night, depending on your age, depending on your condition. So that's approximately 1/3 of your life. So if there's any takeaways from this tonight, I hope something here can benefit you so that you have a better 1/3 of your life. Tonight, we're going to look at basic sleep statistics. We're going to look at Bible verses that specifically say it's a gift from God. I'm not a scientist, but I'm just going to briefly go over the 4 stages of sleep. And the majority of the time, we'll be focusing on 6 benefits of sleep and ultimately how to get better sleep. So there'll be a lot of give and take. There'll be a lot of sharing if you feel up to it, because I know the rest of us would definitely like to learn from you. Now, if we look at countries where adults are completely or somewhat satisfied with their sleep, surprisingly, India has the highest percentage. There's something about Indian culture. Maybe it's the weather, maybe it's their upbringing. But out of all the countries that were surveyed, they're the ones in particular who are the most satisfied with their sleep. As you can see, the United States is actually at the lower end of the spectrum. When this was taken in 2020, COVID, so there was a lot of opportunity for sleep, there was actually only about 40% of adults in America that were actually satisfied with their sleep. And if we look at adult sleepers who state sleep has a major impact on certain parts of their life, this is a little bit more recent. It was taken in 2022. Basically, most adults will admit that the quality of sleep impacts their mood, their day at work, their health in general, their exercise, their ability to have fun, their relationships with family members, and ultimately how healthy you eat. Because we're going to look at how you sleep actually impacts your self-control, how your body burns fat, and it even impacts your metabolism. And I thought this was a beautiful Bible verse that I've read Psalms before, but I never highlighted this or underlined it. It really stood out to me though when I found it online. This is from one particular version. It says, "It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep." So it's actually a gift from God. In order to get a good night's sleep, that is actually from God himself. And if we look at the next version here, same verse, but slightly different version, it says, "It is a waste of time to get up early and stay up late, trying to make a living. The Lord provides for those he loves, even while they are sleeping." And there's certain things that your body does that can only be performed when you're sleeping. So God is continuing to bless us even when we're sleeping, as we're going to learn about tonight. So if you're a highlighter, like a person that likes to highlight in your Bible like I do, Psalms 127 verse 2 is a great verse. It's going to remind us that sleep is a gift from God and that God blesses us even when we're sleeping. So like I said, I'm not a scientist. I can't go into the specifics of this, but I didn't realize that there was 4 different stages of sleep. All these 4 stages are incredibly important, and you go up and down throughout the night. So I'll send this out to you later if you want to explore a little bit more. But as you can see, there's several different cycles, 5 cycles, but there's basically 4 stages, and you go up and down throughout the night. And there's a lot that we do that can actually impact the quality of these stages. So for the rest of the time tonight, we're actually going to focus on the 6 benefits of healthy sleep. Some of these may be familiar to you, some of them may be new. Either way, we hope you'll share because this is something that's very pertinent to all of us because we spend about 1/3 of our lifetime sleeping. Number 1, healthy sleep improves attention, focus, and concentration. Number 2, good sleep gives us better memory and information processing. Number 3, sleep lowers our risk of high blood pressure, diabetes, coronary heart disease, and stroke. Number 4, it enhances our immunity. Number 5, it actually gives us better mental health. It reduces stress in our life. And number 6, it actually aids maintenance either in weight loss or in maintaining your current weight. So now let's jump right into it. Number one, sleep enhances your immunity. I didn't really know how this was the case, so I just looked up a few different studies here, a few different articles, and it was new to me that our bodies produce T cells during sleep. These are white blood cells that play a critical role in our body's immune response. Many people were paranoid about getting COVID. Well, one of the things you could do to either prevent that or fight against it is actually get better sleep so that your body can produce these T cells. Ideally, we need about 7 to 9 quality hours. And sleep actually also has an impact on the cells the body uses to fight off viruses. So this can impact how well you recover from a sickness. Another study in 2019 suggested that sleep helps these T cells, these white blood cells, more easily stick to infected cells and destroy them. So if you're not getting good sleep, you're not fighting these viruses, and you could very easily be brought down, be attacked, and as we know, in some cases, people even unfortunately died because of viruses such as this. Number two, sleep improves your mental health. If we look at Elijah in the Bible, he was so depressed. He didn't want to commit suicide, but he wanted to die. So the angel came down from heaven, touched him, and the angel allowed him to sleep and then provided some really nutritious food, some water for him, and then gave him more time to sleep. And we can see this in 1 Kings chapter 19. Sleep was critical in pulling Elijah out of that depression. And as we know, after that, he actually went to heaven in chariots of fire. So we can thank God he got that good sleep because it was able to pull him out of depression. So I'm just going to read a few more quotes and then we are going to jump into the discussion. In a depressed state, Elijah fell asleep. How does sleep deal with depression? Well, even 2 hours of sleep before midnight is equal to 4 hours of sleep after midnight. Ellen White was saying this 100-something years ago, and science is now backing this up. 2 hours of sleep before midnight is equal to 4 hours of sleep after midnight. A neurotransmitter called serotonin is synthesized into melatonin as night falls. Melatonin modulates wake and sleep patterns. The duration of melatonin secretion every day is directly proportional to the length of the night. These two neurotransmitters affect us not only psychologically, but I can't say that word, sorry. Sleep is recuperative. When we do not get enough sleep, our reasoning power is affected. So not only does it affect our self-control, but it actually impacts how we fight disease, and it actually impacts our mental health, how we feel. They've done so many studies on people with depression, and one of the major contributing factors was not getting a quality night's sleep. In fact, here, people with depression, 75% of them have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. And some people might think, like, why not take medication for that? Well, according to Hopkins medicine, medication isn't always successful because even if you're taking medication and going to therapy, if you're not getting a good night's sleep, the majority of people fall back into depression. So before you consider medication, maybe consider investing in your sleep and what you can do to get a better night's sleep. Because even if you're not depressed, it's definitely going to help your mental health so that you have a better day. So one of our first questions here is, what mental health benefits do you notice from a good night's sleep? Do you notice a difference in your own life? And if so, if you could please share with us.
Actually, I think after a good night's sleep, one awakes and is more energized and has a more positive attitude about the day.
Could be.
Yeah, I notice if something's really, really bothering me and I go to sleep, I sleep on it, so to say, it's not so traumatic in the morning. In fact, it's not really that big of a deal anymore. Sometimes things tend to get magnified at nighttime and we get all worked up. But if we sleep on it, as we'll learn later on, there's actually something in your brain that it goes through and it like sweeps your brain and it takes away some of the negative memories from throughout the day. That's why we can't always remember how many times someone embarrassed us or hurt us or times that we felt awkward, because our brain is actually repairing itself at nighttime and it's kind of like cleaning the hardware there. So God designed sleep for many reasons, but one of those reasons is for our mental health, to kind of clean us up, to kind of safeguard us, and to help us heal from whatever trauma we might have experienced. Does anyone else have any benefits that they've experienced from a good night's sleep?
You know, I started drinking half a gallon of water each day after my colon surgery on doctor's advice. And if I don't drink it all, I tend not to sleep good. And I have to get up, drink another glass or two of water, and I'll sleep like a baby. And sometimes I just pray that we have a girl staying with us that snores, and I pray that she doesn't snore and it stops
Oh, for
instantly.
heaven's sakes.
And I get a good night's sleep.
And something that I learned as well is that sleep assists in weight management. They actually did a study on people who were sleeping about 6.5 hours a day, and they increased their sleep to about 8.5 hours a day. So studies recommend between 7 and 9 hours. So these people were getting upwards of 2 more hours of sleep per night, and they were actually significantly reducing their caloric intake. And if they kept this up, this would be weight loss of over 26 pounds over a period of 3 years. So they really weren't cutting back on anything, but by just getting better quality sleep, they're actually consuming a lot less calories. And obviously, for some reasons, this is because you're in bed. Sometimes it'll be the weekend, and my husband and I are like, we're so hungry. And then we look at the clock and it's 10:30. We're never up at 10:30. So that would explain why we're hungry. So sometimes simply by going to bed earlier, you're not going to eat so much. But they also actually found that sleep deprivation leads to increased carb and fat snacking. And when people put on weight, it's generally because of carbs, fats, and sugars. And a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that when people were starved of sleep, they were more likely to choose high carb snacks. And these aren't like banana carbs, sweet potato carbs. These are the potato chips, the pizza, the pretzels, that kind of stuff. Another study showed that when they were sleep deprived, they chose snacks with twice as much fat as those who slept at least 8 hours. Another study found that sleeping too little prompts people to eat bigger portions of food. And another study actually said that lack of sleep leads to increased cravings for energy-dense, high-carbohydrate foods. Now, I am not a low-carb person, so the high carbohydrates they're talking about are like processed foods. They're not talking about like all those beautiful carbs and millet, barleys, grains, legumes, fruits, not those carbs, but the fatty carbs, the sugary carbs, those type. So if you have a hard time staying away from those, simply getting some more sleep could actually lead to that willpower, and it could actually cut those cravings so that we're not craving those unhealthy carbs, those unhealthy fats and sugars. So question for you, how does getting quality sleep help you manage your weight? And another question that's not on here is, what do you do to manage your weight? Because I'm sure we'd all like to hear from you. Does sleeping impact that? And what else do you do to help manage your weight?
Don't eat.
Helen,
I
how
totally
do you do that? I can't do that, Helen. Give me more specifics.
Oh, no.
Hey, can you hear me?
Maybe a little louder, but yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, it's totally true. Like when I'm really, really tired and I know I have to stay up, I look for like carby food to give me fuel to stay up. So, whoops. All right, I dropped it. All right, sorry. So, yeah, it's totally makes sense. Like, if you had more sleep, then you wouldn't need the fuel from the food to stay up. So, yes, I completely agree that having more sleep, having a larger tank or reserve of rest will be able to help you like kind of endure the day if you had to stay up late.
Martin and I have for a few months now been eating just 2 meals a day, and I've lost quite a bit doing that. And we're not starving hungry at all, but it's easy to do and don't have to change what we're eating or anything. Just 2 meals a day instead of 3.
That's great. Congratulations.
Good idea.
Ashley, is Craig on here tonight?
Let me see. I know Phil and Sue are.
You want?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh,
Ah, I love his advice that he gave us the other day. He said that for those of you like me who like crave like fatty food, like fried food, he said that if to prevent that craving for me to like so that I don't like splurge and like have a breakdown to eat some nuts. And he said that'll curb that craving and then prevent and it be healthier and prevent you from accidentally eating those really bad foods.
mhm.
So I thought that was excellent advice. Thank you, Craig.
Amen. Praise God.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, like, say you're at an airport and you wake up at an odd hour to get there at an early hour, and then you're like in and out of sleep as you're on the plane, and then you're at a layover. All of a sudden, that airport food, that ridiculously expensive airport food, looks good to you. But if you've had a good night's sleep, you're not really craving that. But I notice, like, if your sleep is broken and you're rushed, then all of a sudden you're willing to pay $7 for a bag of chips, or you know, I don't even buy candy bars, but you like consider buying a candy bar. And I never realized that. I thought it was related to stress or being rushed, but it also could be related to the quality of sleep that you're getting, because it makes it easier to have willpower and to say no. And according to these studies, it can even cut down on your carb, your fat, your sugar cravings if you simply get quality sleep about 7 to 9 hours. Sleep also lowers risk of disease. I learned this from an Eric Walsh sermon on sleep, which I'll send out to you. So I looked it up, and he was saying that people that work third shift have significantly poorer health. And according to this one website here, shift workers, third shift workers in particular, are more likely to have sleep problems, fatigue, depression, and burnout. So a lot of times, especially when people are in the medical field or they're young, obviously they have to take third shift, but he recommends take it quick when you're young and get out of there as soon as you can. Because even if you think you can handle it, it's actually negatively impacting your life. It can actually cut down on how many years you live. According to another website here, it says night shift work increases the risk of developing diabetes, heart disease, and it disrupts the body's circadian rhythm, the 24-hour internal clock that controls when you wake up. Studies have shown that eating at night alters the body's metabolism. So when I was in college, I used to work at a nursing home as a, CNA, certified nursing assistant, and I noticed third shift was always overweight. And I thought it was just because they were eating junky foods. But looking back now, I didn't realize that simply by being awake at that time, you're altering your body's metabolism and you're disrupting the circadian rhythm, and you're making it a lot harder for your body to burn fat because you're actually up when everyone else is sleeping, and then you're going to bed when everyone else is awake. So even if you're incredibly healthy, it's still an upwards battle. So if you have to work third shift, make it quick, try to get out of it, because it's not worth all the health problems that come with it. A lot of people aren't working third shift, but they find themselves having a difficult time going to sleep at night. We'll talk about that at the end, what to do when you're having a hard time sleeping normal hours. So question for you, how has sleep helped you recover from illness and fight off disease? Because sleep is good for your mental health. It's good for killing off viruses. It's good for preventing diseases such as diabetes, heart attack, heart disease, things like that. How has sleep personally helped you?
Yeah, well, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, well, when COVID first hit, I mean, I basically slept through it. I mean, I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to, I mean, after about the first couple of weeks of watching all the insanity on television, my mind literally just shut off, and I didn't want to think about anything. And I must have slept like roughly 16, 18 hours a day for months at a time. And and when I had to go out, I'd wear masks and gloves and you know, everything, you know what I mean? Put on 2 masks and I never, and out of all the people that I knew, and I knew, you know, most people got some form of COVID or another. And, thank God, me and my roommate didn't. So, that, I guess that, you know, we both actually slept through it, you know? So that was a great help, you know?
Yeah, but most people can't.
I think also, Ashley, your body's in recovery mode when it sleeps.
Mhm.
And if you're depriving it of that, if you're ill and you're pushing yourself, whether it's keep working or projects or whatever, you're fighting that recovery and making it more difficult or extending the time frame to recover. So I think having sleep and rest when you need it most, when your body's quote hurting, is that will help you fight off whatever you're wrestling with.
I found it interesting. A lot of studies came out with daylight saving time. When we lose an hour, there's actually a 20% increase in car accidents and heart attacks. And that's just with 1 hour. And then they said when you gain an hour, so supposedly there's a 20% decrease in heart attacks and in car accidents the next day. Now, that sounds like too clean of a statistic, but I've heard that several times in sermons. I've seen it online. And that's what just 1 hour of sleep can do. So imagine if people are doing this to their bodies every single day, that's a lot of damage that could be prevented.
So if we gain 5 hours, we eliminate it all.
Right?
No, you get nothing done.
So you may know this already. I mean, this part, number 5, is kind of like common sense, but it's a good reminder, at least for me it was. Sleep assists in better memory. Memories seem to become most stable in the brain during the deep stages of sleep. Particularly REM, the most active stage of sleep, seems to play a role linking together related memories, sometimes in unexpected ways. That's why a full night of sleep may help with problem solving. So Dr. Eric Walsh in one of his sermons said, when someone's trying to play the piano, practice doesn't necessarily always make perfect. It's actually practice and sleep makes perfect. Because when you go to sleep, your brain is putting together all those techniques, all those skills that you practiced during that day, and it's creating relationships between them so that the next day when you pick up practice, it's a bit stronger. You could do the same thing, then sleep on it, and then you're going to get better and better. It's not just because of practice, it's actually because of sleep as well. Research has also shown that sleep strengthens the neural connections that form memories. When you're sleep deprived, these neurons are overworked, they no longer function properly, and they affect the way that you process information and your ability to remember or learn. So it's no surprise that kids that come from broken homes or kids that are up all night playing video games don't do very well in school. They have a hard time focusing, they have a hard time engaging, and ultimately they're not remembering what they're being taught. And this could easily be fixed with getting some quality sleep. In fact, probably the younger you are, the more sleep that you need. So 2 questions, because we'd love to hear from you. How does not getting enough sleep impact your memory? And question number 2, what other tips do you have to improve your memory? So question 1, how does not getting enough sleep impact your memory?
If you ever dealt with Alzheimer dementia patients, they're sharper in the morning and at night, not so much. It's best for them to go to sleep and wake up and have some memories in the morning.
And I don't know about you guys, but if you're trying to memorize something in some scripture, it's probably a little bit sharper in the morning than it is at nighttime. And memory is something we all want improvement on. So does anyone have any tips? Like what things do you recommend to improve our memory?
They've actually got like websites geared. I don't know the name of them offhand. I think one of them is Lucid something or other, Lucidity or something like that. But there's a lot of websites out there now that deal with memory so that you can, and they got games that you can play to keep your mind active. They're designed for, older, elderly people. So it's a really, I think it's a really good resource. I've used it a couple times myself already, but there's more than one of them. So you can just look up, just Google it and look up online,
Okay. Oh, thank you.
People say that playing cards is good for improving your memory. Card games.
Now, I don't know if you guys notice if like diet impacts your memory, but I can tell immediately. Like even this weekend, I don't normally eat sugar. Like we don't specifically buy it for ourselves. In fact, white sugar we haven't had in our house for years. But this weekend I ate some chocolate and I just noticed that my thinking was rather foggy. And I was trying to memorize Psalms 101 verse 3, which is a short verse. And it was taking me forever to memorize it. And I just noticed I'm going to blame it on the chocolate. Maybe it was laziness too. I don't know. But I really tried and I was having a hard time doing it. And I think it was just, I'm eating foods I'm not accustomed to eating. So to me, it was a good reminder. I'm not one of those people who's radical and says it's a sin to eat junky food. I'm not saying that. But I think for me, I noticed that the quality of my memory, it's not so sharp when I'm eating foods that I typically don't eat. So to me, I think diet does play a significant part in being able to remember things in order to memorize. I think that's one of the reasons why Daniel and his friends were blessed was because of their simple diet. Does anyone else have any recommendations or tips what to do to improve your memory?
I had a couple, but I forgot.
Good one, Jeff.
Don't eat the chocolate.
There you go.
Yeah, they got supplements like ginkgo, what's called GOBA, whatever that is. There's all these memory enhanced. I don't know how good they are, but I know they have them out there.
Well, now we can add to our list just getting better sleep. I like what Barb shared, Alzheimer's patients are generally sharper in the morning, and probably the same is true for most of us as well. So getting that quality sleep so that we can be as sharp as possible. Sleep also improves our attention and focus. Obviously, as a teacher, I notice this a lot with children, but it's the same for adults as well. People that have sleep deprivation, insomnia, sleep apnea, other conditions, this short time daytime cognitive impairment is common. Improving sleep quality can boost their cognitives, promoting sharper thinking, and it could reduce the likelihood of age-related cognitive decline. So impaired memory, poor sleep obviously impairs your memory, and it does this by disrupting the normal process that draws on different cycles, on NREM, on regular REM, on retaining your memories. I found this really interesting. Studies have found that people who are sleep deprived are at risk of forming false memories. Like I have literally met people that are lying to me or recollecting an incident, and it's not even true, but in their head, like they're so convinced that it's true. And I always assumed like they just lied so much, like maybe that's why they think it's true. But now I didn't realize that possibly if you're sleep deprived, you can actually form false memories that can be true to you in your own head, but that are actually completely false. So that was alarming to me as well.
Yeah,
And
that's scary.
Alzheimer's disease can actually sleep helps the brain conduct important housekeeping. It cleans up potentially dangerous proteins. And then on the bottom here, there's a bit more science behind that. But at the end of the day, they actually, if possible, they've attributed about 15% of cases of Alzheimer's disease. They attributed them to poor quality sleep. So what about you guys? You probably know more about this than I do. Have you noticed a difference with how sleep improves attention and focus? Is there anything that you wanted to comment on from the slide? Sorry if I misquoted some of these. Sometimes I have a hard time the pictures on the screen sometimes block out some of the words, and sometimes I can't always move it. So sometimes I have to like guess the missing word. So if I guess something that's totally off, now you know why. Well, at the end of the, oh no, what were you saying?
The last line of the slide before this,
Mhm.
I just thought it was amazing. It says that studies have found that even one night of sleep deprivation can increase the amount of beta amyloid in the brain in people with sleep problems, estimating as many as 15% of cases of Alzheimer's disease were attributable to poor sleep. Amazing.
I know that that's scary. I was listening to a survey and it was saying, think about it, like just not getting enough sleep right now, we could be like paving the way for Alzheimer's later on. So that really opened up my eyes as well. Thank you for reading that. That had a lot of words I couldn't pronounce, so I think you did an excellent job. Thanks for saving me, Sue.
Okay, you're welcome.
So at the end of the day, we may have trouble sleeping, we may not, but I think all of us would like a better quality sleep. So we're just going to look at briefly, maybe for about 15-20 minutes here, what we can do to get a better night's sleep. So Ellen White, time and time again, says establish a regular routine. My grandpa's 89 years old and he looks amazing. He is independent. He drives. And one of the reasons why we think he's doing so well is that he has a very strict schedule. He's gotten up at the same time for, I don't know, 50 something years, and he has breakfast right away, then he walks the dog, then he studies his Sabbath school quarterly, and then he studies some Spirit of Prophecy, then he takes a little nap, then he gets up and does some errands, has lunch, takes a little nap, walks the dog, takes a bath, goes to bed. Like, I know his schedule after all these years, but because he is so regular, he is doing fantastic. And part of this is probably because of the regularity, because he's not deviating, he's not sleeping in, he's not staying up late. His days aren't chaotic, like they're very routine, very predictable. Ellen White actually writes a lot about this as well. We shouldn't always be regular in going to bed. We should be regular in other areas as well. So this is what she talks about in the Pacific Union Recorder from 1902. In the family, order should prevail. The members should be trained to regular habits. There should be a fixed time for rising, a time for breakfast, and a time for worship, either directly before or directly after the morning meal. And even today, just a normal doctor and a very well mind said, a good place to start with creating a new routine is to set wake up and bed times, as well as meal and activity times. So I have a little graphic on the side here. Obviously, I don't agree with everything that's on the graphic. It says don't drink alcohol right before bed. Well, you should never drink it. So I'm not supporting everything that's on this graphic, but I thought they did a good job. If you want to wake up earlier, try to get as much sun as soon as possible because sunlight shuts off your melatonin production. It's going to leave you more alert and primed to begin producing it again the following night. This is a good one. Put your alarm clock across the room so you have to get up. Drink a glass of water. I know for me that energizes me right away. Get some exercise. Obviously, this person's in a yoga position. I don't recommend that. But now that I don't drink caffeine, I love it. I can just roll out of bed and start working out literally within 5 minutes. I'm not dependent on caffeine like I thought I was before. And getting regular exercise, especially right away in the morning, it elevates your body temperature. And even when I go to school, like a lot of people are noticing that like I don't really wear winter clothes. And I think part of that is because I'm exercising right away in the morning, elevating my temperature so that I'm also from Michigan, so winters down here to me aren't really winters. That's probably the real reason. But I do find that exercising right away in the morning really wakes me up. There's no possible way I could go back to sleep after exercising. They also recommend planning a good breakfast. I don't think those are veggie sausages on the plate. So to me, that's not the healthiest of breakfasts, but we all know what's healthy. So make some wise choices. Clear your morning. This will actually help save your limited willpower for more pressing tasks. So commit to the things that are important, but learn to say no to things that really aren't important and zap your energy. Put away your phone or your tablet. And right before going to bed, They recommend not eating several hours before you go to sleep, maybe reading a book and a magazine that you enjoy. So do you guys have any tips? Like if someone's having a hard time going to sleep, if someone's having a hard time establishing a routine, what are some tips that you have?
We have a young daughter. She's 27 now. But for years, going to school and going to work now, she is diligent about getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night.
Good for her.
And she knows what time she has to be someplace. She knows how long it's going to take her to get ready. She's in bed 9 to 10 hours before that time where she has to get up in the morning. And she just loves her sleep, and she knows she's a happier, better person when she gets her sleep.
I would recommend using amber lights at sundown and throughout your home until in the morning, and then use regular lighting as well.
I find that if I get a really good day of exercise, then I go to, and then I'm tired enough that I go to sleep right away. But if I don't exercise hard during the day, then I can be kind of restless at night. Some things I've done, if my mind's kind of racing at night and I can't sleep, sometimes I'll put on the Bible app, and I'll put a set of headphones in and kind of just do the audio portion of it. And I figure that's good, because at least if my brain retains anything, it's retaining something beneficial.
I'll agree with the exercise there as well, and the Bible. Also chamomile tea, and I find Epsom salt baths also really help you to sleep later on in the night.
I think exercise is something that you have to be careful of, that you don't do it too late in the day, because you get too close to when you want to go to sleep. Your body isn't relaxing. You're kind of wired.
Yeah.
I used to play tennis in a group that went from 9, I think is 8:30 to 10 or something. And those nights I always had trouble getting, a hard time getting to sleep, because you were still, active and your brain was going, your body was ready for more action, I guess.
Oh, one thing else I do that helps, like if my mind is like thinking about work and the next day and the things I have to do, I try to lay down and then I try to play a movie in my head. And that movie is, I try to think of the most beautiful hikes that I've ever been on. And I try to just think about like putting myself there, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and it just calms my mind down and my body down.
Another one that like we're probably all aware of, but surprisingly like not a lot of people are, is that evening meals or snacks hinder your sleep. Ellen White was writing about this 160 years or so ago, but she said if a third meal be eaten at all, it should be light and several hours before going to bed. And then she talks about this a little bit more in the following. She says, the stomach, when we lie down to rest, should have all its work done, that it may enjoy rest as well as other portions of the body. The work of digestion should not be carried on through any period of the sleeping hours. After the stomach, which has been overtaxed, has performed its task, it becomes exhausted, which causes faintness. Here many are deceived and think that it is the want of food which produces such feelings, and without giving the stomach time to rest, they take more food, which for the time removes the faintness. And the more the appetite is indulged, the more will be its clamors for gratification. I don't have the quote on here, but in Testimonies to the Church, Volume 2, she says, drink a glass of water when you want to eat late at night, then go to bed. You'll be better off for it in the morning. And it's so true. Like, how many times do we go to bed and we wake up, we're not even hungry. We were just craving food for whatever reason. So the more you eat at night, even if it's just a little snack, it can hinder your sleep. I realize that sometimes there's probably some nights you're just absolutely famished. Maybe if your eating schedule was disrupted. I know not everybody recommends this, but in my case, I find that if I absolutely have to have something, if I have fruit, fruit generally digests between 15 and 40 minutes. Some people are concerned about the sugar, but I'd rather have something that's really light on my system that's going to digest as quick as possible so that I'm not going to bed with food in my stomach. But as much as possible, try not to eat between meals or eating late at night. That's actually really going to help you as you go to sleep. But this is a hard habit to break. It actually took me a few years to break the habit of eating late at night and snacking. So what tips do you have? What tips do you have to avoid snacking, particularly at night?
Eat your light evening meal before 7 o'clock. Give your stomach time to rest and drink plenty of water.
Mhm.
Don't buy it.
That's true. If it's in the house, you crave it, but you're not going to go to the store at 8 at night. Good point, Brenda. And Elaine as well.
I think for me, what helps is like I'll have my lunch at work, like in the later part of the afternoon, so that I'm not super hungry in the evening, as opposed to having a lunch at like noon and then like a light lunch at noon, and then in the evening I'm really hungry. So I'll have my breakfast and then my a little bit of a heavier. My husband's shaking his head because sometimes I know I have my challenges, but what helps, I should say, is when I have a lunch that's more solid, and so in the evening I'm not extremely hungry.
I know when I was young, I tried to go like as long as possible without eating, thinking I would be losing weight and saving calories, but then you're famished by the time it's at night. And then you're eating like, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 calories at nighttime, and then watching TV and going to bed. You know, that's a horrible way for your body to store fat. And so many studies have been done on people that eat the same calories, the same types of food even, and those that eat the majority of the calories before 3 p.m. are significantly like 20 pounds thinner than those that eat after 3 p.m. And that's not set in stone. Obviously, I eat after 3 p.m. So I'm not saying you can't, but don't be scared of eating breakfast. Don't be scared of eating a substantial lunch, because then you're not going to be as hungry. And if you have a third meal, making it light will be so much better for your sleep. It will be better for your mental health and better for your weight management. Does anybody else have any tips what to do to avoid snacking, especially at nighttime?
Make sure any snacks you buy are in the crinkle bags, because they're bound to be heard by your partner. And you'll be scolded.
Just keep the apples on hand and the bananas or the grapes, something simple like
The
Fruit.
fruits, yeah.
Don't allow yourself to open the refrigerator door. Nothing good comes after you open the door.
Nothing
Put a
good comes
time- put a
after
time
midnight
lock
when you
on it.
open the door.
Mhm.
And
Keep water
even,
by your bedside.
oh, that's a good one. Can you repeat that one more time?
Keep water by your bedside.
Yeah.
Even if you have to get up and go to the bathroom, still.
That always interrupts my sleep.
And these are some more tips I got from this great website from uchealth.com. And they said focus on consistent high quality sleep. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just catch up on the weekend, or I'll just catch up on another day. But catching up is actually a myth. It can actually harm your body, because my mom told me that we need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But if you get more than that, you can actually do just as much damage to your body as if you get under that amount. Obviously, sometimes if you're sick or something, you may need to catch up, so to say, but you don't want to make a habit of it. You'd rather focus on getting consistent, high quality sleep. Changing your sleep environment can help. Dr. Eric Walsh said we spend a third of our life in bed. So what's more important, a nice car or a good mattress? And when he puts it like that, like sometimes we try to like save money, or we try to think it's not so important. But if that means getting better quality sheets or a better mattress, or getting out like noise canceling equipment, or getting, you know, some sort of blackening curtains, whatever you need to do to change your sleep environment is definitely worth it. Designating a sleep only room. I like to read in bed, but a lot of times they recommend don't do any type of work in bed. So if you're on your computer, if you're editing, if you are doing things, if you're grading or doing like business proposals, they recommend don't do that in bed, because then your body is going to associate bed with work and your mind is going to race instead of going to sleep. Blocking out light, there's special curtains for this you can get. But if you try to match your circadian rhythms to that of the sun, you know, getting up when it's sunlight, going to bed when it's dark, that's actually the best possible way to like kind of manage these rhythms. Eliminating noise. I'm sure it's hard if you're like renting or if you're living with other people, but you know, if you're your own homeowner, you can control what kind of noise for the most part comes into your home. Eliminating caffeine. I think caffeine has a half-life of, I think, 4 to 6 hours. So even if you only drink 1 cup earlier on in the day, it's still going to be in your system at nighttime. So eliminating it can completely help. I'm at the point in my life, even if I have some chocolate in the evening, I am wired. So as much as possible, I try not to eat it. A couple days till Valentine's, I'm sure the kids will be giving me lots of it, but I'm going to try to get good sleep so I have good self-control and I don't eat it. You can intensify your exercise routine. When I go through periods of stress, particularly a few years ago, I started exercising twice a day. I was doing like cardio, kickboxing, Tabata, high intensity in the morning, and about 4 days a week I was doing weightlifting. I liked it so much, I still do it now. And for the most part, the minute I go to bed, I read for a little bit, but then I go to sleep and I sleep amazing. And I think part of it is having a rigorous exercise routine. But like what Jeff said, don't do it right before you go to sleep. Make sure it's several hours before you go to sleep. Finish your last meal several hours before bed. The earlier, the better. Practice gratitude, whether that's just thanking the Lord in your head, whether you like to journal, or simply praying. There's so many Psalms that talk about God visiting David during the night watches, God visiting with him while he's laying upon his bed. It's actually quite beautiful. That's a perfect time. Now, your only prayer shouldn't be only in bed, because God deserves a little bit more than drowsy prayers. But I think he also does enjoy our drowsy prayers, just like our spouse. Like our spouse doesn't just want drowsy conversation, but they don't mind when we talk to them when we're not our sharpest. But we also want to give the best to the Lord. Do you have some positive comments to share, Jeff?
Oh,
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you all in on a secret, okay? You guys know Ashley. Let me tell you, it's one thing she's really, really good at. And it's sleeping. She's a really good sleeper. She doesn't sleep as much now as she did when we first got married. But I used to worry about her. She slept quite a bit. But she is a really good sleeper and I'm proud of her. Sometimes I'm actually a little envious.
yeah.
But no, she does take sleep very serious. And it's good because at night she's kind of disciplined. She's like, hey, put the phone away, shut the light off, let's go. It's time to go to sleep. And I'll be reading or on my phone and I'll say something to her and I'll turn over and there's no response because she's already out like a light. So but I would like to know from you guys, these are some list of ideas, but it's not in here, I don't think. But you know, one thing I noticed that really I enjoy and I never thought I would is a down comforter. I really like the softness of a down comforter, and that's even on top. And you would think, how does that help you? But for some reason, just that down comforter, and also I like a nice cold room.
Yes.
I like having the AC up kind of high, and I also like a down pillow. Some people have like things with sheets and stuff. Well, I'd love to hear from you guys. What are some things you enjoy to sleep well?
I like to sleep in a place that's under 67 degrees with my good comforter on my bed.
Yeah.
And if I have it too hot, I cannot sleep. Ugh.
I agree. The other thing some people use, and I don't like them because they get too hot, are these weighted blankets.
Yeah.
You know, filled with beads or something. And they're, you know, fairly heavy and they must feel pretty snug and secure, but I find that it's just too warm.
Mhm.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that first point. I've read that sleep is like time. Once you lose it, you can never recover it. And if you lose 3 hours of sleep one night, you can't just say, well, I'm going to add it on tomorrow night and sleep 3 more hours. It's gone. You're not going to recover it at all. And you just start anew the next night.
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious, who on here likes a firm mattress or a soft mattress? I'm kind of a soft mattress and Ashley's kind of a firm mattress person. What do you all like? And do you notice a difference in your sleep?
We took a trip to Thailand and the mattresses were so firm. The beds were so firm. And I realized after 2 weeks, I had no back pain.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so we have a very firm bed.
We're the same. We have a firm mattress, and a lot of that's because of the back.
Yep.
Ashley's twin, Shakira. I need to know. I need to know, Shakira.
I'm not Shakira, but a
I'm-
firm mattress will last longer than a soft mattress.
Ah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever noticed a difference in firm or soft. I mean, I don't think I have a preference, to be honest.
really? Like if we go like stay in an Airbnb and it's a hard mattress, I'm like so bummed out. I'm just like, I'm not gonna sleep good tonight. And she's like already out sleeping, you know?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
it
I need a
hard.
nice, I need a
I
nice.
like to sleep on the hard surface. I sleep
My
better.
Alex is saying he prefers a hard mattress. I'm sorry, what did you say Ashley prefers?
She prefers hard, yeah.
I think I'm really indifferent. I don't think I have a preference.
I guess I'm the minority with the soft.
I think, Jeff, when you travel, you got to take 2 comforters. One you can lay on the hard mattress below you, and then put one on top of you.
There you go.
No, you
Perfect.
know what? I think I would prefer hard.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I would prefer hard.
Greg, what did you say?
I was just gonna say, Susan and I, are kind of like Jeff and Ashley, we're a little bit different. One likes it softer, Susan likes it a little firmer. A few years ago, we invested in a, what do we call it? Sleep number bed.
Oh, yeah.
So we both can adjust our sides the way we want them.
Nice.
It makes it very good.
Ah, that's a good tip right there.
They have the split beds that you can have your different weights of mattresses for both sides. And just put the regular sleep sheet over the 2 mattresses.
Yeah, you know what though? That sleep number bed, like how you can adjust either side, you know, Phil, that's a good idea because that might actually help keep her on her side, so I can actually have my half of the bed.
Just don't get caught in the middle.
Jeff, that wasn't a complaint, was it?
No, of course.
That
of
wasn't a
course.
complaint.
No.
There's all kinds of exercise you can do before you go to bed too, in the bed.
You know what? In all honesty, you know what the biggest problem in our bed is? I'm sure you guys know.
He's squeaking in the background right now.
The 4-legged friend. The 4-legged.
Yeah.
Yes. Do not allow your dog to sleep in the bed. If we had to do it over again, I would not allow it. So yeah, he puts himself sideways and takes up the majority of the bed. So
Right.
Oh, he's embarrassed now. Now that you said that, look at him.
And deservedly so.
And reading the Bible, praying, that helps as well. That can reduce any anxiety, any stress from the day. It can help you get a better sleep. I think we had talked about this at some previous studies, but magnesium glycinate really helps. It doesn't put you to sleep, but it helps promote just some relaxation so that if you wake up, your mind isn't racing, you're not as nervous. And I think it helps too because it helps with muscle recovery. It helps with mental health. There's so many benefits to it. It can be a mild laxative, but I think most people don't mind that because ultimately it's helping so many areas of your well-being. Melatonin never really worked for me, but they say simply by getting up when the sun gets up and going to sleep when it's dark, that can actually help your body naturally shut off and turn on melatonin. But if you need some extra help, I really like the melatonin strips. It's kind of like Listerine strips, but they're melatonin. I only use them if I'm having difficulty sleeping because I don't want my body to become acclimated to it. But I think those are great as well. Shakira actually recommended this homemade tea. Jeff has been sick for a while and he absolutely loved the tea. So I don't know if this is the exact recipe that she shared, but it's like turmeric. I think it's ginger. It's like a dairy-free milk. Shakira, do you mind sharing a little bit more about that tea that you recommended?
Sure, yeah. It's called, oh my goodness, now I just drew a blank.
Is it like golden
it's-
milk or something?
Yeah, golden
Okay.
milk. Yeah, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember, but yeah, it's called golden milk, and it has, I think it's 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric, a
Mhm.
1/4 teaspoon of ginger, 2
Mhm.
cups of like plant-based milk. I know some recipes call for coconut milk, but I tend to use almond milk because it's just easier to make. And then a little black, I can't remember how much black pepper, maybe just a little bit to go with the turmeric. And then the nutmeg, I think is just a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg to help with the relaxation. And then they suggest that you add your sweetener to it, so like honey or something like that, while it's boiling on the stove. And then cinnamon. And then when you take it off the stove, they have like optional, you can add vanilla. So I guess the base ingredients really would just be like the turmeric, ginger, the nutmeg, the milk, and then, if you want to sweeten it, then you can do that optionally.
There's another option too for the magnesium that you don't have to worry about the side effects of the magnesium glycinate. It's called magnesium. L is in like, and I'll spell the last word for you. THEORNATE. And this comes in 2,200 milligrams, and it helps with sleep as well, and everything that magnesium does for your body. So it's very healthy. I've used it for years.
Maybe if they send these to Ashley, she can include them in her notes she sends out.
Sure.
In the Shakira's magic tea. I was looking online quickly. Does it have cinnamon in it? Maple syrup?
For the tea, yeah, I tend to sweeten mine with maple syrup, and
Yeah.
then I do use a little bit of cinnamon powder. Sometimes I use the cinnamon sticks, but I mean, I use either the powder or the sticks
Yeah.
as well.
Sounds good. They said it tastes kind of like chai tea.
I've heard of it, and I think that's what some of the alternate names are that I found on Pinterest for the recipe. I don't think I've had chai tea, but I've seen it equated to that online.
Yeah. It sounds good.
Yeah, it does taste good.
When my parents were in the memory care place, they would give them 2 melatonin every night with dinner to get them sleepy so they'd rest at night.
Well, hopefully after this, you'll be winding down to get a good night's sleep. Hopefully something stood out because probably most of us get decent sleep, but I'm sure we'd like to maximize that. So we're getting 7 to 9 hours of high quality sleep. So if you have anything you want to share with me, like any links, or if you've done any like seminars, or if you have any speakers that you like, send it out to me. And as soon as I get it, I will send it out to the group. But it's 7 o'clock now. And if you're like me, I actually go to bed at 7:30 and I read for a little bit and then I'm pretty much passed out by 8:45. So I don't know. I don't want to disrupt my schedule. And I don't want to disrupt your schedule either. So since it's 7 o'clock, let's end with prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for the gift of sleep. I found that translation amazing that said, like, you're still blessing us as we're still sleeping. You're providing for us as we sleep. And there's so many incredible things that happen during that time. And we just thank you for it. Please forgive us for any ways that we've abused our bodies or abused our sleep patterns. We ask that you help us to do everything to honor and to glorify you. Be with us this evening. Please protect us from harm. Please help us to just lay upon our beds and to rejoice in you and to just make sure that we're right with you. Thank you for loving us, Lord, in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, everyone, for all your tips and advice.
Yes, you too. Everybody have a good night's sleep.
Good night.
I
Good
don't
night.
know if I can now. I'm so stimulated. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Mhm.